What's up, everybody? Today we are going to be looking at Florida. There's many things to like about Florida. Summerall's coming in as a new coach. A lot of people think he's going to be very good. Their returning production is incredibly high, especially for a team that did just lose their coach. They also brought in a ton of portal pieces, but there's some glaring questions about the quarterback situation, and the schedule is fairly difficult, although it is one of the easier schedules in the SEC. Overall, their win total right now is at about 7.5. First things first, we got to talk about the head coaching position because it is arguably the most important in the current iteration of college football. And John Summerall looks like he could be a really, really good one. He's been very successful everywhere he's been. The 2 years at Troy were incredible. And then he went to Tulane, and they replicated very similar success. They made the college football playoffs, although they ended up getting blown out by Ole Miss. But he's been a very successful guy. What I also like about him is he spent a lot of time in the South coaching, from his time at Ole Miss, from when he played at Kentucky. He's a guy who's really only ever been in the South. He's supposed to be an incredible recruiter, and he develops talent at a really high level. I think he's an incredible coach, and if it's not next year where they're very successful, I really, really do like them moving forward. Next, one of the things that I like most about this Florida team is their returning production. They have the 10th best returning production overall, and their defense is number one. They have a 5-star edge coming back in LJ. They also have Miles Graham, who was one of the best edge players in the country a year ago. They have some secondary pieces coming back. And Vernell Brown, it sounds like he's taking a much bigger leadership role at the wide receiver position, which is huge because they have tons of transfers, and we'll get to them. But if Florida wants to be really successful, the guys who are already here also have to be good. Now, some of the returning production at quarterback and at offensive line leave huge question marks, and those are going to be the biggest questions on this team. But in terms of defense returning production, it is literally the first in the country. And that leaves me to be very optimistic, especially with the fact that I do think they got a significantly better coaching staff than they had a year ago. And then on offense, the skill positions, they return enough that leaves you at least still very excited. And for what they brought in the transfer portal, it looks incredible. At least it does as of now. And they've got some big name pieces, and we'll get to them. But what I like most about this Florida transfer portal is just how many guys they got at the wide receiver and running back position that necessarily weren't stars at their former teams, but they were very, very good. Now let's get to the stars. Eric Singleton, that dude's supposed to be really, really good. And he went to Auburn a year ago, and to be honest, it was a little bit of a letdown year like most players have when they go to Auburn. But with that being said, he's reunited with his offensive coordinator, and so is the quarterback, Aaron Filio, who a lot of people think is going to come in and win this job. His spring game kind of got some mixed results. It sounded like he threw 2 picks, threw a touchdown. He's kind of neck and neck right now, I think, with QB2. And also Will Griffin. Some people believe that guy's like the next truth at Florida. In my opinion, I would not want to start a true freshman, at least not yet. But with that being said, I really like the talent that they've made, upgrades that they've made at the wide receiver and running back position. The problem is that's not their hole. Their hole is offensive line, where I think there's still a lot to be desired, especially because offensive line, you don't need 5 tremendous players. You need 5 players that play well together. But I'm a little worried that this Florida team won't know exactly who their 5 are until too late in the season. So I think best case scenario, even if you don't necessarily find the 5 best guys, by at least the end of spring ball or the beginning of fall ball, I think you really want to have those 5 guys set in place, because it's going to be all go once the season actually begins, and I really don't think you want to be messing with the offensive line, especially when the quarterback position might be what it might be, and that's kind of subpar. But the talent positions are absolutely good. And then on defense, they brought in a lot of really good pieces, particularly in that secondary. They brought in, I believe it was 4 guys who played a significant amount at their prior school, which is absolutely massive, absolutely huge, because they already have some good pieces returning in that secondary, but it definitely could have been one of their weaker spots if they did not go and dress it in the portal. Summerall did an incredible job at doing exactly that. So with all of that being said, how exactly do I think that they'll do next season? So I think the quarterback position, to be honest, won't be incredible. I think the wide receiver and running back position will be very good. I think the offensive line could be a little shaky. I'm worried that they don't get their starting 5 set, and I'm worried that they are a team that could be very well hurt by injuries at the offensive line position. On defense, I think they will have one of the better defenses in the SEC. I think the front 4, and when you talk about competing in the SEC, the number one thing that you have to do is get to the passer. The good teams that have won SEC championships, every single one of them has 2 guys at the edge that can go get the quarterback. Nose tackle, I do worry a little bit about, but I think he'll be good enough. And I think the secondary is very, very good. Summerall is also a great coach. He doesn't necessarily have all of his guys. They brought in a good offensive coordinator. I like a lot of things, but I think the quarterback and the offensive line are the ceiling of this team. Now let's get to the schedule. Auburn, Ole Miss, South Carolina, all 4 of those games should be fairly winnable. I think you can compete in all of them. I think Ole Miss is obviously the toughest one. You do get Ole Miss at home, which I think is good. But then I kind of look at the 3-game stretch after that. Texas, Oklahoma, and Georgia. Those are 3 games that I think you do lose all of them. And then you finish the season, I think, with a very nice ending where you get Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and Florida State. So when you look at 7-5, right now I'm leaning towards that they win 6 or 7 games. I will have a full record prediction. I'm starting those in June. But right now, I do like a slight under for Florida on the win total, but I still think it's a very good year. And I think they are a team that come next offseason, we're talking about if they can get the offensive line right, if they can get the quarterback right, maybe there's 1 or 2 other kind of tweaks that they're going to need. But I really think Florida's future is looking very good, although I do have them most likely going under for the win total for next season. Let me know your guys' thoughts. If you guys have made it this far, subscribe, drop follows, and leave likes. Let me know what you guys think.